Of course, as Algeria do well in the first game of Chan, interest from the nation and its supporters grows. But can it be as easy in match day 2 when Algeria play South Africa in the Chan, which you'd think on paper would be an extremely difficult match? Because you've got Algeria with their local side where none of these locals play for the main national team. And you've got South Africa where the bulk of their national team do play in the South African League. But in this setup, South Africa have not taken any of their main team to the Chan. In fact, when you look at the South African squad, yes, of course, they all have to play in South Africa to be eligible, but they're all sort of standby on the side players, and the majority of the players in the South African squad haven't got a club. They're unattached, like a bit of Velcro, like a shoelace, unattached. They haven't got a club. Why are we playing a team of players that haven't got a club? Is this South African FA saying, you know what, you guys, you haven't got a club, we're going to put you in the shop window, and off the back of this, maybe you're going to get signed to a club? Because the big boys from Sundowns, Chiefs, Pirates, they're not here. They're not here. There's a couple of players at Sundowns or whatever, but they're not the main guys. So I don't really understand the logic behind that, but at the same time, I don't say South Africa are disrespecting the Chan. This is where the tournament's a bit flawed and a bit outdated for me. You have Chan because you feel like, oh, you've got the big African stars now going to play in Europe or whatever, or playing South America, but the local talent gets left behind. So CAF make a tournament in the Chan where the local talent still has a chance to shine, and you go, oh, okay, maybe he'll get a big move like Lamine Camara did, like Bissouma did. Like in the last time, if we kept Tamora, I'm sure Amora would have played. Matt, he always had a good Chan. He went to Switzerland, right? Well, he's back now, but less said about that, the better after his penalty in the final last time out. This system doesn't work. The format's flawed because South Africa's team, main team, play in South Africa. In fact, the league in South Africa starts, I think, in a couple of days, next week or whatever, very soon. So why would they then send their best players to Tanzania and Uganda and Kenya and then miss the start of the league season? Because then that would be detrimental to the league in South Africa, which is one of the biggest leagues, if not the biggest, on the continent. So in terms of an Algeria perspective, we've taken the creme de la creme, the pièce de la résistance of players from our squad. You know, Chetty and these guys and Mahious, of course, and Bayazid and Mazien. These guys are all here. Whereas Ali Let from Usman, whereas South Africa have effectively sent a C team that half of them haven't got a club, which kind of puts all the pressure on Bulgaria, because Algeria have no excuse not to win this game. Because if we've taken the best of the crop, the top 1% of players, and we're playing, I don't know, a mid to the bottom 1% of the players from the South African division, we should be winning. And considering we played in Uganda against Uganda, the host, and won 3-0 and scored what's probably going to have to be from Bayazid the goal of the tournament already, just quite a remarkable start to the competition. We need Mahious to get off the mark as well. He was one of the top scorers last time. But having said that, we have to win this game, because if Algeria come out and lose to this South African setup, when it's not the main South African team, either we've underestimated them, South Africa got really good crop of players that can't even make it into Bafana, and we've been overconfident. Because I think Algeria, now winning 3-0 against the host, we've got to be looking at this tournament as one to win. You put South Africa away, you're left with Niger, you're left with Guinea, you're almost certainly on 6 points. You're going to be needing probably one more win and a point somewhere else, and you're through. And all of a sudden you're a quarter-final nation. So Algeria, the number one target has to be to get out of this group. Because, you know, for the same with us, the way they haven't got Ronwyn Williams, they haven't got Mokoena, all these guys, we haven't got Mahrez, we haven't got Guiri, we haven't got Amora. You can say from that perspective, it's a level playing field. Does that mean when you go deeper into the system, the fact that Algerian players branch into Europe and the Middle East, that we've got a better structure, better core if called upon? Because Algeria have called us effectively some of the big stars. I mean, you've got 3 or 4 players starting in the team last time that played for the champions, Maloudia. So I think Algeria now have put a bit of pressure on themselves, where Bulgaria's won 3-0. We got to the final last time, didn't concede a goal. We won the Arab Cup. But at the same time, even if you're an Algerian player, like Mahious, let's say Mahious wants to play for Petkovic. Well, he can't, because if Algeria get to the semi-final or the final of Jan, we're playing the crucial World Cup game a week after that. Plus, you've got the Algerian league system starting. You know, you get people in Europe and around the world saying, oh, we've got the Club World Cup. That's ruining the players' fitness. Too many games. What about Africa? You're throwing in the leagues, you're throwing in the Super League, the CAF Champions League, the CAF Super Cup, and now you've got the Chan as well. So I can't see Chan surviving in its current iteration. Something's got to be done. Or it's got to be further apart. It's got to be less common. But it's a tournament, and you know when Algeria go into these tournaments, we either try and win them, we don't even bother and go out of the first hurdle. We have a manager that's got to finals before, that's won major trophies before, and almost certainly I think what Bulgaria wants to do is go, okay, which 4 or 5 can I take here to the FIFA Arab Cup in December? That's going to bolster my chances of winning that as well. When we go to Qatar, and we play big nations from North Africa and the Middle East as well. So in terms of this game, you look at the two squads on paper, Algeria should be winning, and winning comfortably once again. And you see what we did last time. But South Africa have had more rest. Remember, they didn't play a game yet in this group. But yeah, listen, the way Algeria put Uganda away, it got people excited. Let's see if that was a fluke or if it was very much good, because the first half was a bit poor against Uganda. The second half we came alive. Let's see what happens in this game. Let's see what Algeria can do. Let's see if Bayezid starts. I think he deserves a start. Can Mahi always get off the mark? Let's wait and see. If he gets a penalty, I'm sure he'll be trying to take it, wouldn't he? But yeah, so Algeria, South Africa, that's tomorrow. If you're watching this now, it's a Friday, 3 o'clock British time kickoff. Let's see what happens. Can South Africa spring a shock? I'd be a bit embarrassed if we lost to the South African side. Listen, you know, I've got full respect for the main Bafana and all those guys, and Hugo Bruce and that team. And you know, I've said many times, you know, Williams, who was in the Ballon d'Or goalkeeper award last year, Friday deserved, almost had a really good African Cup of Nations run South Africa. But this South Africa, I think, is a bit disrespectful, taking unattached players. But I get why. Because they've got the league starting, they've got all their main players playing this league. They don't need a Chan. They don't need Chan. Chan is not going to affect South African football. If they won it, or if they came out in this group, it's not going to affect them. And that's the harsh reality. And these players are in the shop window trying to get a club. But let's see, I could be wrong. Will you be watching? Let me know, and I'll see you next time.